idea if this is working. Oh, well. Oh, Bitcoin group. I'll record it too. That'll work. That's a good idea. Hold on. Now for real. No idea if it's working. All right.
I recorded just in case. It'll come in. It has a little bit of lag. I've used.
I recorded it just in case, but it's hard to tell when it really starts. So here we go.
Yes.
The Bitcoin Group, the American original. For over the last 10 seconds, the sharpest Satoshis, the best Bitcoins, the hardest cryptocurrency talk. We'd like to welcome our panelists. Dan Eve, the Crypto Raptor.
Evening, folks. Good morning and good noon and good night.
John Galt from PhoneHodl.com.
Hello.
Josh Gigala from Voltoro.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen.
And I'm Thomas Hunt from the World Crypto Network. Moving on to issue one. Issue one, institutional money. New York-based asset manager Grayscale announced a raise of $607 million in 2019, with total investments reaching $1.17 billion. $193 million, more than a third of the increase, was invested in Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, the company's publicly tradable Bitcoin option. Tellingly, 24% of the funds were from new clients. Institutional money has arrived in Bitcoin. And now, Crypto Raptor, I ask you, is this a good thing for Bitcoin?
Well, I suppose that, you know, it's all about the network effect. So the more people in Bitcoin, the better. I think that, you know, some people are afraid of the institutions kind of coming along and wrecking things, but I think in some respects there's some positives. All new money is good money, and 24% is a good figure of new funds, funds from new clients. So I think it's great that people are dipping their toes into the water, and people that probably wouldn't want to buy Bitcoin direct and hold it, they will, you know, like to own a piece of it by owning it via someone else. So we can't stop them from, you know, not running their own full node, but you know, at least they're dipping their toes in the water.
Juan Galt, is institutional money good for Bitcoin?
Well, I've been pointing out to people for a few years now that if you want to succeed, if you want Bitcoin to go to the moon, you have to get the money, and the money is in the system. The money is in society. And so to get the money, we're going to have to integrate in some way with society. And there's going to be tensions, and some, you know, we're going to be pushing around a little bit here and there. And, you know, we're going to win some battles and lose some battles. And this is just the next level of victory, which comes with its sort of risks, right? So it's going to be great for the price. I mean, $600 million is nothing for what the institutional money actually is. But the downside is, yeah, there's going to be a lot of money on centralized exchanges like Bakkt that are going to be able to have a much bigger say in, you know, potential consensus crisis that might happen in the future, if it happens in the future. I don't know, right? Like imagine if this was the scenario we were having the Bitcoin Cash fork and with Bakkt playing the game. How would things be different, right? Would they be different at all? Maybe they wouldn't, maybe they would. We may never find out. Maybe we will if we have to do another hard fork in a few years. But I think overall this was inevitable and has been wanted by a lot of people. And I think we'll probably be okay. And the price is going to go to the moon, probably.
Josh Kagala, your thoughts on institutional money in Bitcoin?
I'm a bit sus of Bakkt. I think Bakkt is, you know, they've got some weird clauses in there. Like yeah, it's real Bitcoin, but it's warehoused by us, and you're not allowed to actually ever get hold of the real Bitcoin. You can just sell it. There just seems to be a lot of like, what? I just don't understand why these clauses are in there. It seems to me there's when institutions come in, especially from Wall Street, but anywhere really. I mean, I'm picking on Wall Street. It's silly, but really, there's always some jiggery pokery in the background. There's always some sneaky ways. I mean, how are they making money back? I'm guessing, I'm hoping that it's not through fractional reserve and then lending this stuff out or whatever. Is it? Not sure. Is it so they can crazy short sell this stuff in also a way. I feel like it's you always need to be skeptical. Institutions hopefully also need to be on the ball investing in these things. At the end of the day, they want security too. So these instruments will come out. I just don't like when people are basically buying the price of Bitcoin rather than buying Bitcoin. Because if you buy the price of Bitcoin, you're not actually taking any demand. And this is what we see with the futures markets that are just cash settled. You're just buying a price. I bought this price and I'm going to sell at this price, but there's nothing really there. And there's all these promises from Bakkt, but I'm feeling sketchy about it. I've got to say, feeling sketchy.
You don't want to know how they make their money. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Juan, more on this?
Yes. Yes, Ugly Old Goat has been doing very good reporting on this. He's been sending them emails, reading the documents, and some of the things that I've heard from his Twitter, you can go look it up on Ugly Old Goat on Twitter. Apparently, it's 37% backed by actual Bitcoin. In order to get into the system, in order to be able to launch this sort of Bitcoin exchange, this Bitcoin commodities exchange, they had to outsource the control of the Bitcoin to another, or like the Bitcoin settlement or delivery to another organization, and that was sort of being clarified, right? So yeah, it's somewhat fractional reserve. If it's 30%, 37% backed from what I heard, then it's not really 100% backed. It's not as backed would like you to think it is. I hope that people put pressure on them, and I hope that all these things get unambiguously cleared up. But I mean, fractional reserve exchanges, it's gonna happen. There's no way, like this is a legal thing. It's gonna come, and we're gonna have to find a way to deal with it. Hopefully.
With a name
It's
like
another concern that I have, but who knows?
With a name like Bakkt, how could you not trust them? Surely they must be backed. Ridiculous nonsense. But what this is for is this is bad for your chance to get one whole Bitcoin. Institutional money's been waiting on the sidelines for years. They've been dipping their toe in. They've been doing trial projects. But when you see this amount of money, more than $500 million moving into Grayscale, what you're going to see is a continuation next quarter, the quarter after. They're going to keep selling this vehicle, and the institutional money presumably is going to make it impossible for a normal person to own one whole Bitcoin. So you still have a chance right now, $8,000, $9,000, not completely the end of the world, but once you get up to 100,000, 500,000, no normal person I know has that kind of money. Let's move on to the exit question. Awash in institutional money with a halvening on the horizon. Crypto Raptor, yes or no? Is this the beginning of the Bitcoin bull run?
Oh, yeah.
Juan Galt. Yeah, I think so. I've been posting about it on social media. We just made a little downward reverse head and shoulders pattern. We're pushing that 9,000. We're about to go over 9,000. It's looking like higher highs, higher lows. We're bouncing off of this old trend line that's touched every bottom of every bear market in Bitcoin. We're just basically bouncing off of that one right now. So, Tom Vey says that there's still a chance of touching the 200-week moving average, which is at around $7,000. I think that's becoming less likely by the second. There might be one last pullback, but I think it's pretty much done. I think the bottom's in.
Did you say he's bearish? That makes me bullish. Josh.
I know. He's always bearish.
Josh Gagala.
Yeah, I mean, I feel we've had 2 years of solid 1 year of solid bear, another year of solid sideways consolidation, and now people are starting to forget about the bear a little bit. We run the classic market to hedge in, where you hedge in physical gold between Bitcoin and physical gold, and there these traders are quite interesting because they people that are interested in gold are very astute when it comes to markets. They're not they're not the greedy moon Lambo types. They're more the this is you know, they're just a little bit more sort of got their head on straight, and I do see them starting to sell some of their gold that they bought in 2017 and head back in. But on the other side, we're seeing huge peaks on, say, other coins like Dash, and people are jumping out of Dash now into gold because they're seeing like nothing can go 45% in one day and that be normal. So in terms of the wider market, it's a really interesting time. I definitely think we're on the slow and steady up. I hope it's not a big bull run hockey stick, because I just hate those. I hope that we're just slow and steady moving up. That would be great.
It's always crazy. It's never what you want. It's also an insane time in the traditional markets as well, with the Dow Jones breaking new records, while there's lots of uncertainty in the market with China, Iran, impeachment, etc. So there's a lot going on.
It's nuts. That's a really good point, Thomas, because what we have at the moment is all-time highs in the stock exchange. We've got all-time lows in the bond markets. We've got crazy Trump and Iran going at it. We've got Brexit around the corner. Now we have Northern Ireland is also getting sketchy with Brexit. We've got
Scotland as well.
We've got economies in South America, and I guess Juan can talk a little bit more about those. The economies are starting to fail a lot harder. Inflation's kicking in. So first of all, when you have record highs in the stock exchange, where's that money going to go? Is that going to go into something that's also got record highs? No, it's going to go to something that's had record highs but is now at sort of lows and getting up. So I see a lot of money coming out of even property markets out of Australia, who've had, you know, is in a slight bear market now, but just slowly is going to be starting to move into some crypto. I feel like this is a weird situation where you've got record highs in the stock exchange and record lows in the bond markets. It's just a weird situation.
It's another one where in hindsight, everyone will say, oh, of course, didn't you see it coming? Everyone knew it was coming, just like the 2008, et cetera, et cetera. Not everyone sees it coming, even if you think you've got a good play. Like I was mainly in cash for a little while, market-wise. The market went crazy up. Who knows, but that could be short term. Juan Galt, more on this issue?
Well, I just had a thought that one of the things that might save us from from commodity sort of future exchanges soaking up the demand for Bitcoin and trading the price rather than the asset, like Joshua sort of was hinting at, might be that if the liquidity in Bitcoin is low enough, and let's say a lot of people are short on the commodities markets or they're long in the commodities markets, if you just move up the price enough, you can wreck their positions on the futures exchanges. So that's the saving grace. Like if you're a big player, you're gonna want to have a hand on the actual market, so that the liquidity doesn't become a liability, so to speak.
Moving on to issue 2. We'd also like to thank our viewers at home on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube today. Give us a thumbs up and a share or a like or a star or whatever system you may be on today. Thank you for joining us live. Thanks to Restream.io. Moving on, issue 2, bad money. This Wednesday, at a hearing of the House Financial Affairs Committee, Representative Brad Sherman from California expanded his attacks on the fledgling cryptocurrency, saying that if Bitcoin works for Hamas, Bitcoin will work for the Nazis too. Other members of the committee agreed, but warned Sherman not to infringe on the privacy of legitimate crypto users. It seems only obvious that pseudo-anonymous money like Bitcoin, so similar to cash in its nature, could be used by anyone for anything. Will Congress realize this, or will they continue down a path towards more bans and restrictions? Juan Galt.
Well, I mean, great. I get the first shot at this crazy ball. It's really amazing to me how anti-fascists are so excited to limit everybody's ability to engage in the economy, you know? Like, okay, yeah, Nazis are gonna raise money, and if it is not PayPal, it's gonna be or the banks, it's gonna be Bitcoin. And if it's not Bitcoin, people are gonna send them cash over the mail. What are you gonna keep them from receiving cash over the mail, keep them from receiving checks, get them like, at what point, you know, and during the Nazi years, if you didn't play with a political party, you didn't have access to society, right? Is this the society that this scumbag wants to create? I mean, this is top grade propaganda, and I think, and it's very politicized, right? I mean, anybody that's been paying attention to this American sort of politics know that there's a lot of misinformation happening. I'm not trying to defend any Nazis, right? But there's, you know, there's this is what it is. You know, this is what money is. Money is used by people to do whatever they want, to support whatever they want, and you're not gonna solve it by trying to limit people's ability to get money. You're gonna solve it by talking about culture and educating people, I guess. I mean, there's not that many Nazis in the United States. This is total nonsense. There's more communists and more Chinese communist apologists in the United States. There are Nazis. So I think this kind of propaganda is inevitable. I've been expecting it to come for a long time. It looks like it's finally here and it's coming with force. This guy is behind most of it. Like, he's been a top Bitcoin hater for a long time. He's gonna fail, and if he succeeds, then that's kind of like the end of America, you know, pretty much. Because what freedom are there left there if you can't, you know, if you can use an excuse like this to go after people? I don't know. What do you guys think?
This has been coming for a long time. We've talked about it several times. We thought, of course, it would be terrorists and so forth, but to have it actually be Nazis is just a great gift to the absurdity of this. Yes, it's money. Yes, it could be used by good groups and bad groups. This is money. But I do disagree with Juan a little bit. I think that Representative Sherman is correct. I think that Bitcoin is a threat to the US dollar. It is a threat to its strength in the world, the ability to control foreign policy and other countries with the US dollar, the power that it provides, as he said in his speeches. I just think it's inevitable and unstoppable, and he should go towards more reacting with it rather than reacting against it. Sherman reminds me of the angry congressman in the X-Men movies. The mutants are real. The mutants are a threat, but chaining down the mutants, making them slaves, eliminating them, this isn't going to work. It isn't going to provide the positive outcome that you want. He needs to begin with the end in mind. Josh Gagala, your thoughts on Congress and the Nazis?
You know, Juan said it really well. The best way to stop fascists is to be a little bit fascistic. And really, that's kind of what we're seeing here. I mean, what happened to good old-fashioned police work, guys? What's the obsession with controlling the money, the currency? Get your police force and catch scumbags and be done with it. Money is something that makes society whole, something that makes society work. My first venture was a swap site where people just swapped. There was no money involved because I've always had this passion about alternative economies. And it was a terrible system because if I really love that tie of yours, Thomas, but you look through all my stuff and you don't like anything I have, then the deal falls through. And that's a terrible thing. So how about having some sort of token in the middle? And then I remember thinking, well, but then I'll be at another central bank. No, that's terrible. And then Bitcoin came along. And wow, we've got a token in the middle that is nothing to do with the state, nothing to do with the government, nothing to do with a company or a structure or a centralized structure. Wow, we can now, I really like that tie. You can sell it to me for this independent currency, and the market becomes fluid and it works. Society starts working. Society starts getting richer. Society starts solving problems that they can solve when they have money, like the environmental issues, like overpopulation. All these things happen when you become a richer middle class. And by someone like Sherman going in there like an absolute fool to then go and say, oh, we've just got to ban this. What, are you going to ban math, you idiot? Are you going to ban ban playing cards? Are you going to ban couches because I could swap my couch for another person's couch? Don't be a fool, Sherman.
Imagine if it was a Nazi couch. I'm not sure if he's a fool, but he reminds me of all the villains in all the 80s movies. He's just so over the top. Juan Galt, more on this before we go to Dan?
Yeah, it's just amazing. You know, he pretends to be so on the side of justice, but financial ostracism and putting pressure on banks and financial institutions to ostracize a political group, whatever they may be, is the opposite of justice. There's supposed to be due process. There's supposed to be an accusation. There's processes in the legal system, in the justice system, to accuse people of wrongdoing. But no, there's no crime here. It's just accusations of political. Yeah, there's 5 Nazis in the United States or something like that. But no, we're going to hit Bitcoin with this. And you know what's going to come next? They're going to go for censorship, political censorship. They're going to try to regulate more companies, go for the wallets, full surveillance. They want to know everything. They want to have everything. So what a scumbag. He looks like a total bad guy from one of those Superman movies. You know, it's just, Jesus Christ. Guy just needs to cut that full hair off too. Just go full bald, man.
Clearly the Nazis are also using the internet. Dan Eve, Crypto Raptor, your thoughts on Bitcoin and extremists?
Well, I think hang on a second. Can you hear me? Yeah. I think it's interesting that you say about, the dollar is kind of losing power. I think Donald Tusk pointed that out, and that America wants to retain that power. Now, but obviously people like the EU want to clamp down even more. I think is it France that they've got a limit coming in so that you can't, or maybe Italy, but you can't spend more than like €1,000 in cash without going through KYC and AML or something. It's something crazy like that. I think it's €1,000. Now, I think that something that could make the things turn for the worse with Bitcoin is if I mean, saying Nazis is ridiculous and extreme, whatever, but something more realistic maybe is if someone was found to have been funding Iran or something like that, where US has got a sanction, then I think Sherman will just lose his completely, and then he'll be really gunning for Bitcoin.
Absolutely, and that was Sherman's previous complaint that Bitcoin stopped their ability to leverage Iran, which I agree. It takes a tool out of the toolbox. You have less tools. You're just going to have to do something else instead. Moving on to the exit question. What is more likely? The United States banning Bitcoin, the United States creating their own version of Bitcoin, or both? Juan Galt.
I think if Trump was really the capitalist and the visionary that he portrays himself to be, and I think if Americans really embody the spirit of capitalism, they'll realize that they gotta start competing on mining. They gotta accept Bitcoin, and they gotta win at Bitcoin. They gotta become big players in the mining industry so that they can keep this machine stable, right? And not try to ban it. If they ban it, it's going to become China's sort of toy, basically, because most of the proof of work is going to be happening there, and that there's danger to that. So I think if Bitcoin grows to be a politically neutral money, which there's some theories that this benefits the United States, given that they're so over leveraged in their dollar, and everybody's trying to take the power of the dollar as the sort of settlement currency. If they don't play this game, they could lose this game, and I don't think banning it is the winning move, but who knows? I don't think they're gonna ban it either. I don't think that's probably not constitutional and stuff like that.
Josh Kagala.
What was the question? Sorry.
Will the United States ban Bitcoin?
Right, yeah. No, I don't see it. They will basically regulate. They will try to regulate it out of existence, and like there are some cases here that we can look back on in Bitcoin. In the early days, the UK tried to put VAT on Bitcoin transactions on Bitcoin, and they saw a quite a huge brain drain happen instantly, and this was very visible. So they were, whoa. London is an institutional capital of the world, financial institutional capital of the world, just like New York. And so we might have just screwed up the future of finance. And what did they do? They took VAT back off. Now, this was very, very interesting for me, because I thought, well, these guys obviously don't want to wreck it for themselves. So, you know, New York made a very, very big mistake in the early days with passing the New York bit license, and we really don't see that much happening. Yeah, you got big conferences there in New York, but that's kind of about it. There's of course there's this monopoly of sorts of exchanges. I think there's like a couple of exchanges that have managed to pass through, you know, crawl under the crazy obstacle course that you need to get a license, some sort of, you know, get past the crocodiles first, and then you have to go through the bat cave where there's scorpions, and finally you can pay through the nose and get a bit license. And I think there's only a couple of companies that have actually managed to do that, and it causes monopoly. I don't think they'll do it. I think they'll do exactly like they did with New York, try to regulate the heck out of it so that you have these big institutions that deal with it. They can control their citizenship through that, and that's about it. They will definitely try to say that it's totally illegal. And look, everyone out there, you've got to remember that a lot of laws, if it doesn't really matter if there's free software out there that you can use. You know, taxes, for instance, they were always enforced through the threat of you lying. So all they have to do is say you are not allowed to use a crypto wallet that doesn't do KYC. Now, or you go to prison. And that even that threat will make people, you know, the mainstream just use Coinbase in these centralized systems. So I don't know. I think that's how they will ban it. I don't think they'll go out for a full outright ban. It's a silly thing to do anyway, and we'll see what happens. I think it's about that. It's about overregulation. And you know, Juan Gov't, you know, your name says it all. This is typical of also the book, where regulation just destroys industries from competition. Other ones basically regulating to keep their monopolies or duopolies.
Excellent point, Josh, on brain drain. The countries really need to think of that. I know of a lot of people that used to live in England that don't live in England anymore. That could be a problem. And I agree with what Juan said. The countries actually have an interest in keeping Bitcoin stable. Mining to make sure the rules are evenly enforced actually helps the countries. I forget which country it was, but there was a country today on Twitter I saw had launched a national mining pool. Where they were going to mine for the good of their country. And it's a little late for that, United States, but it's not too late. Just for the record, if you go back on the videos, at the time that the US government was selling and squandering the Silk Road Bitcoins, I said they could have held them and built more Smithsonians. It's on the record. Dan, Eve, the Crypto Raptor, will the US ban Bitcoin, make their own version, or both?
Well, I think that it makes more sense that they try and make their own version, because it's being recognized around the world by central banks. The ECB have talked about it a few times, and as in creating their own cryptocurrency. Obviously, you've got Venezuela, and I think that with the risk of being outdone by China if they get one out first and first to market, that's probably really quite worrying for them. But ultimately, the last kind of major, there was the arms race of the Cold War. So I actually think that that as time goes by, there'll end up being a cold storage war between countries. It'll be whoever can get their hands on the most Bitcoin, and because they who control the money control everything. So it will become like the latest arms race, if we don't go to World War like before or whatever.
It is very funny. We used to speculate about all this stuff, and now it's really true. It really does matter which country has the most Bitcoins, which country can mine the most Bitcoins. And you have to imagine it's only going to matter more and more in the future. Moving on to the next issue. Check out the worldcryptonetwork.com. We've got a brand new webpage about the World Crypto Tour 2020. So far, we're going to go to Unconfiscatable Conference right here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Hopefully, if we can get some donations and some support, we're going to go to the Majorca blockchain event in Majorca, Spain. And finally, CoinFest UK in Manchester, UK. Check that out at worldcryptonetwork.com. It's also a great time to thumbs up the show, subscribe down below, put on the notifications bell, all that kind of thing so you get notified when we put out new videos. Moving on to issue 3, Big Money. Cypherpunk Hal Finney is legendary in Bitcoin circles, the first known Bitcoin recipient, early Bitcoin miner, and algorithmic contributor, and a prime candidate to be Satoshi Nakamoto, has one more feather in his cap. He was the first ever price predictor of Bitcoin. According to Finney's predictions, if Bitcoin were to replace the current monetary system, one Bitcoin could fetch the princely sum of $10 million. Finney's prognosticating is now being backed up by fellow cypherpunk Adam Back, who believes similar price predictions are possible simply because of runaway inflation of the US dollar. Josh Gagala, I ask you, how high can Bitcoin go, and what would it take to get it there?
I think it's more about how low can the dollar go, and everything's relative to everything. So it's about protecting wealth, and people should be looking at what's happening. We've got, like we were saying before, highest highs in the stock exchange and the American stock exchange, also some of the Europeans. You've got negative interest rates, you have Brexit, you have uncertainty. Even if you don't think anything's going to happen, the fear is every day on the news. And people are like, oh, what am I going to do with my wealth? What am I going to do with my savings? What am I going to do? It's because money represents work done. You've worked your whole life for this savings, or what are you going to do? You're going to keep it in something that's going down and down and down? No, you're going to put it into something that is away from this money printing. And this is traditionally gold and silver and property and forestry. And now you've also got the option of gold, of Bitcoin, digital gold. So the number is basically, it's priceless. Basically, it's priceless. A lot of people talk about paintings being priceless. What does that mean? What does it mean when a Van Gogh painting is priceless? You can't put a sum on that. What you can do is put a sum on your savings and what it's worth and where you're going to put it to protect that money.
Juan Galt.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few people that have made really good research on this. There's this guy called Plan B on Twitter that's basically legendary now, very popular for his $10 million predictions. I've crunched the math, and I mean, if gold is somewhere near $10 trillion sort of market cap today, Bitcoin is like, under, I think it's like a few $100 billion market cap right now. If Bitcoin became the size of gold, you would have a Bitcoin price of about $500,000 a pop. And that's just taking over the gold sort of market share, which is just a way. I'm just using that as an example, right? If you look at the real estate bubble, I mean, everybody's buying real estate because fee and, confidence in government money is at an all-time low. The bond market is really weak because people don't have confidence in government institutions right now. And the money is in the stock market because people don't want to hold government bonds and they don't want to hold cash. They want to hold equity in companies and such, right? So, Bitcoin could soak up some of that money as well. And then now we're talking multi-million-dollar Bitcoin sums. So I think it's perfectly reasonable. I think the time frame is a very interesting question. I think there's, questions of scalability still that, there's decent answers to them, but there's no settled solution yet. I think they will come, and I think we're looking at 20, 30, 40 years before we get to that point, but maybe not. Fuck, hopefully sooner. Sorry for cursing.
Dan Eve.
Well, oh God, So I just set the dogs off. So I think one thing I was thinking is, I wonder if that 10 million per Bitcoin was inflation adjusted as well, because when Hal Finney would have made that sort of comment, you know, even since then, I don't know if he would have imagined how many dollars have been printed even recently. So that, you know, that could even be higher. But I think one made a very good point about taking, you know, value from not just the fiat market, but from stocks, from precious metals, real estate, land. You know, there's many general kind of oil, things like that. There's many kind of pieces of the pie that people who were heavily invested in those things might want to invest in Bitcoin, and then, you know, then it's 10 million and beyond. And you know, you think back about like 2 years ago, sort of, you know, January 3 years ago, but January 2017, you know, Bitcoin had taken a long time to sort of recover back up to what, like $500, about $600 about now. And, you know, we thought we'd hit 1,000 again, and maybe, you know, a bit higher or something like that, but no way to, you know, 20K. And so every number that you can come up with is just seems, you know, like it's feasible if you can justify it almost. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's definitely a cool prediction that I'd like to come true.
I think that leads well into the exit question. What is the price of Bitcoin at the end of this year at the stroke of midnight on December 31st, 2020? Josh Kagala.
Well, I mean, if I look at the keyword searches for Bitcoin price, you're looking at a monthly search rate of 201,000 just in the US. And gold price is 450,000 just in the US. So that's a doubling, more than a double, search queries for gold price. So let's say, I think we're going to go up, because we've got a little while. We've got more searches to go.
Juan Galt.
I mean, to throw a number out there, I'll say 50,000.
Dan Eve.
I'm going to go with a more conservative number and say 2020 is going to give us a 20K Bitcoin, and then it's going to move.
I'm going to go with
already.
I'll go with a very reasonable $100,000, but I'm not going to wager my dick on it. Moving on to issue 4, shady money. Alleged Satoshi Nakamoto and alleged con man Craig Wright got a delivery this week. No, it wasn't yet another Amazon package. Allegedly, Mr. Wright received a delivery from a bonded courier. The package allegedly contains the private keys needed to access a treasure trove of Bitcoin worth billions of dollars. The word so far is that the package contained the public addresses of the Bitcoin. The question still remains, does Craig Wright have the keys? Juan Galt.
Hang on, I gotta fucking unmute myself. Can you hear me? Okay. The answer's already been answered. Like, the question's already been answered. This guy is not Satoshi Nakamoto. He doesn't have the keys. If he had any of the keys, he could have signed a proof of being Satoshi Nakamoto a long time ago. Even if the keys didn't have the Bitcoin in them, you know, if old Bitcoin had moved through them, he could have probably proven his identity. And also, you know, we already know what the public keys are. You don't need a bonded courier for that. The public keys are publicly visible. It's the first 1,000 blocks that Satoshi mined. You know, this isn't brain science. It would have to be the private keys, and there's no reason to believe anything that this guy says. You do have to give it to him. He's an excellent marketer. He's an excellent persuader. He really is good at getting attention. And I hear people suspect this is going to be the exit scam of Bitcoin, of BSV, because parabolic. I mean, if I was them, I'd probably, like, what cars do they have left? You know, they're losing all the court cases. You know, the only upside of Craig Wright is that if America goes full surveillance fascist against Bitcoin because of the Nazis, then we can blame him for creating it and have him take all the blame. That's the only upside. I don't know. I think I don't believe anything he says.
Josh Kagala, your thoughts on Craig Wright?
Just sign the keys, mate. I mean, the thing is that the the thing is that even if he has this money, it could be because 2011 was, I mean, I was around, like, there was plenty of people around in 2011. It started to sort of, get more popular there. That doesn't say Satoshi. So the question is he Satoshi? Is still just sign the key, sign the block. What are you waiting for? Why are you bother? If he does have a $9 billion worth of Bitcoin, then well, start selling it, spread it around, get it out of your pockets. Go for it. I'll be buying some.
I've definitely appreciated all of his announcements for all the charities he's going to do, the detailed plans that he's released, how he's going to be the world's greatest philanthropist. He's going to cure AIDS. He's going to fix Africa. He's going to do all these things. I mean, he's just such a great guy. That's why I really hope that he is Satoshi, because of the way that he acts in public, calling people names, yelling at them, saying that he's richer than them and he doesn't have to waste their time. He could buy and sell their whole country. All the way he's acted in public really makes me believe that he's Satoshi Nakamoto. He said sarcastically, in case anyone doesn't get sarcasm. Dan, Eve, Crypto Raptor, does he have the keys? Does he have the money? Can we get a loan?
He has nothing. Let's just move on. That's my bit done.
Oh, that's it. Done.
Drops
Done.
the mic. Hey, one thing I've got to say with the whole thing. I mean, first of all, if you're that clever, if you're really a clever guy, then why would you trust something that you predict is going to be worth billions of dollars to some random bonded courier to fill the key, the last key that you need to actually get that money? Some random geez, I hope that courier company rocks up and hasn't lost that private key. Like what? Just put it in the garden or something. Like that's even better. Why would you trust some weird? It's just the weirdest, strangest excuse. I'm not going to make judgments. I just think it's just the whole story. This is what I love about crypto is that really we live in a cypherpunk novel where you've got these crazy over-the-top people. You have the DAO, the getting hacked, and then people got a month to get that money back and fork, and just constantly these wonderful story arcs, and it's just great to eat popcorn to.
It's crazy though how he's had ample opportunity to prove it. I mean, and instead it's just like a Rube Goldberg of I don't know of forgery and stuff. It seems, but in the words of a judge. So like it's all just crazy how he's been given so much airtime. People still believe in him, and the fact that both him and Calvin, they literally look like Bond supervillains. Like how the hell? Crazy. It's all crazy.
I want to follow up on what Josh said. If you gave your keys to a bonded courier, certainly you wouldn't tell anyone that you gave your keys to the bonded courier, because now everyone who works for a courier company is going to be checking their list, seeing if they can steal the keys. More importantly, if his claim was actually real, if there was, let's say, $9 billion in a bonded courier company somewhere, why wouldn't you just buy all of the bonded courier companies on the chance that you get the right one so that you could steal the $9 billion? I mean, it seems it's right.
Well, I mean, they're holding one key, so even if you got that key, you can't do anything with it.
And the other half of the key my A team would get, it would be not a pretty scene. They'd have to call up Mel Gibson because there'd probably be torture. Moving on to the exit question. Who is Satoshi Nakamoto? Juan Gov't.
Well, you know who all the usual suspects are. I mean, I don't know. I don't really want to know. I don't really think we need to know. I think we're best off not knowing. But let's hope it's Halfini and he's frozen and it's too late. So I'm okay with that.
Josh Gagala, who is Satoshi?
Well, it's Donald Trump, of course. Of course. No, I think it's Thomas Hunt. I think it's everyone on this panel. We need the bonded courier for that last one.
Just waiting for one more digit. I thought you were going to say Donald Duck for a minute there. Dan, Crypto Raptor, who is Satoshi Nakamoto?
if we ever had to find out, I'd like to think it was someone like Hal Finney. I definitely would puke as soon as I heard it if it was Craig Wright, which it's obviously not. So I'd like it to have been Hal Finney, but I'd prefer if we kind of never know. I like that air of mystery, you know. So I think it's just really kind of poetic.
Yeah.
Well, if you really want to know, we have to tell you. The main suspects for Satoshi Nakamoto: Nick Scabo, genius; Adam Back, genius; Hal Finney, genius. Either Hal knows, well, there's a whole thing with Hal and Nick, how they could be it together. There's a lot of other people. I like the three-legged theory that there was an older economics professor, there was a younger programmer, and then there was a guy in the middle, kind of a generalist, tying them together. Something like that. And then they all have to break into the CIA to steal back the keys so that the CIA doesn't control all of Bitcoin. It's going to be a great movie. It's coming out.
It's gonna be a great
fall. It's going to be awesome. I'm working on that. But
I heard a funny story. Let me tell you the story. So I was in Acapulco last year, and this guy, after I gave my speech on Bitcoin and a bunch of things, and this guy came up to me, and we had a few beers, and then at some point he revealed to me, this is a story though. He says he used to work for the NSA, and he used to have be friends with one of the kind of like higher ups in the NSA. And it was a lady, it was a woman, and then so she started like telling him, hey, look, we're working on this project. And then she started sharing with him what at the time were things that we would recognize today as Bitcoin. And so it would be like different pieces of Bitcoin, and we're trying to solve this problem, so on and so forth. And she told him that the NSA was trying to create Bitcoin because they understood that this was 2007, 2006, 2007, something like that. They understood that American cash was overextended globally, and American debt was overextended globally, and at the end of the dollar as the financial settlement was coming to an end. And instead of giving it to China, who's the rising power, they wanted to create something that would reset the game so that no one would have that power. And so that was the justification for creating Bitcoin, according to him and according to this NSA lady. And so that kept going on. But at some point, she was like, well, listen, I could tell you more, but to tell you more, you have to start signing NDAs. And basically, we're going to compartmentalize you, and you can't talk about it anymore. So he decided not to know anymore. And then a few years later, Bitcoin happened. I don't know. Is it plausible? Yes. That's a story.
I mean, it's if that was the case, really, they wouldn't have sold the Silk Road coins. They would have. I mean, I guess maybe they have enough.
They got plenty more.
They wouldn't have known because it was also top secret, you see, because the branches not know what the other peeps are doing. So, like, it's quite reasonable that someone would have baked it up somewhere and only a few people even know.
Yeah, and the thing is, people are too corrupt. People are too corrupt. Some people would have had access to the coins, just like the Silk Road case. The people actually investigating the whole thing, there was multiple agents that went rogue because they got dollar signs in their eyes. So they knew that they could get away with stealing millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. Now, if you were in charge of this secret thing and realizing you could get away with stealing billions,
dead men tell no tales. But we need to move on to predictions or story of the week because we're running out of time. Juan Galt, do you have a prediction or a story of the week? Go ahead.
No stories of the week, but I think the Bitcoin Unconfiscatable conference is going to be excellent. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be reporting and doing interviews. Go ahead, go to unconfiscatable.com. Have a look at the lineup. There's some really heavy hitters. Pretty much anyone that's anybody in the Bitcoin industry is going to be there. So if there's anybody that you'd like me to ask some questions to an interview, let me know. Let me know on Twitter, Juan Galt, at Juanes Galt on Twitter, and I'll queue your questions in. I'm very excited, and I'll see you there if you make it.
Josh Gagala, prediction or story of the week?
Well, the story of the week is we've been working really hard. I hate to Shilmo because I don't really have anything else, but on Vaultoro, we've been creating a whole new front end in terms of the blog and all this stuff. So I'm excited to finally get that out, and we do a lot of educational stuff on there as well, about the markets and such. So that'll finally be back up because people have been asking, hey, where's the blog? And so that'll be back up. So I'm very excited, but I'm also excited to watch Unconfiscatable. You can't even confiscate that word out of my mouth. That's how good it is. But Thomas, are you going to be there?
Yeah, we're going to be there. We're going to live stream. We're going to have the crypto couch and everything live from Unconfiscatable. It's February 20th. So just a few more weeks there.
Very exciting. Very exciting. So I'm looking forward to that. Definitely.
All right, let's go to Dan, the Crypto Raptor, with a prediction or a story of the week. Go ahead.
Oh, I've actually got this, you see. It's a Le Bon. Oh, wait, I'm reading it backwards. A noddle. So I thought I'd do a quick unboxing with a guitar pick. I tried to find a pen, but it's going to be very quick. It's not one of those like talk through a long time unboxing. It's a child getting to a cool present unboxing. And oh, there it is. So this is what I'm going to be playing with.
Oh yeah, come on, unbox it. What are we seeing there?
Sexy,
people,
isn't it?
inquiring minds want to know.
Oh, there you go. Look at that. That's pretty.
Oh, that's a sexy box. Right on, samurai or ninja. What is that?
Oh, it's a little samurai, and there's a red light, I think, in the when you switch it on. So
all right, very cool. The Nodal Samurai Edition. Node in a box, and it does BTC Pay server, and apparently if you open it and disconnect it, it'll destroy itself or something. So very cool. Check it out. Dan's got some setting up to do now, right? Instruction manual.
Oh yeah. So I also predict that I'll be setting this up over the next couple of hours.
All right. Very good. Thanks so much, Dan. And as Josh was saying and Juan said about the conferences, I just want to do really quick. I said on Twitter today, if we don't support real Bitcoin conferences, we won't have any. And then I kind of publicly asked if Blockstream, Kraken, Coinbase, and Binance have sponsored CoinFest UK, Unconfiscatable, and Mallorca Blockchain Days yet. And that I wonder what they're waiting for. And that really buying tickets to these conferences, attending these conferences, and of course, if you're a large sponsor, helping fund these conferences, makes these conferences possible, makes them happen. If you're always saying, why isn't there a good conference where they just talk about Bitcoin or maybe just a little bit of altcoins and that kind of thing, we have to support them if we want to have those conferences. And that on Tuesday, January 21st, just a couple of days, we'll be talking about conferences here on the World Crypto Network. We'll be announcing the World Crypto Tour 2020, and we'll be joined by representatives from Unconfiscatable, Mallorca Blockchain Days, and CoinFest UK. So join us here on Tuesday at 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. If anyone wants to donate, we've had a couple more donors from the Lightning Network. They came in anonymously. You could donate now with the QR code on your screen, donate Bitcoin or Lightning. We're 18% of the way towards our goal, thanks to 12 donations for your help. And we just want to say a sad farewell. We at the Bitcoin Group would like to join the Bitcoin community in saying goodbye to Tamás Blummer, a Bitcoin developer since 2012 and founder of several Bitcoin-focused projects, who reportedly passed away on January 12, 2019, after a long battle with cancer. We would like to recognize Mr. Blummer's many contributions to the Bitcoin ecosystem, including Rust Bitcoin, a project focused on creating a Bitcoin network library written in the Rust programming language, Cointerra, an early ASIC miner manufacturer, and his work with Bitcoin technology company Bits of Proof, which was acquired by decentralized finance company Digital Assets Holding, where Blummer served as the chief ledger architect. As his friend Tour de Meester said on Twitter, rest in peace, Tamás Blummer. These past 3 years, you fought cancer and you fought it valiantly. I will dearly miss your friendship, wise words, and humor. Thank you for the many lessons on Bitcoin and life. It hurts to say goodbye. Remembering Tamás Blummer. Thanks so much for joining us. We're out of time. Until next time, bye-bye. Stop all the buttons.